Part 28. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 271. If you don't fight now, when will you wait? The smile on Wen Jianmin's face couldn't be hung up, and he was embarrassed for a while. Lu Yuyu added fuel to the jealousy. It was especially bad treatment. After we divorced Jiao's mother, I never gave any money for more than 10 years. Sulu took the documents and gave us Jiao and signed the guarantee of separation. Wen Jianmin took out a handkerchief, kept wiping the sweat from his forehead, and gritted his teeth secretly. He knew that this girl would not take care of his face. She is really not sensible at all. They are a family after all. If she makes such a joke in front of young Master Fu, does she have a radiance on her face? Aren't you afraid that Fu Xiao thinks that she must be repaid? The little girl's family, don't you know the truth of being forgiving and forgiving? Looking up, young Master Fu was looking at him with his leisure time, and the cold light in his eyes shocked him like a thorn in his back. He said with a guilty conscience, there are some misunderstandings in the middle. Recently, I have begun to reflect on some of my actions, and I have tried to make up for their mother and son. After all, every family has a book that is difficult to read, and Mr. Fu should also understand this. Makes sense, don't you think? Sulu stood behind and could only watch Uncle Wen bow down to Wen Qiao's boyfriend Fu Nanli. Power is really a good thing, and Wen Qiao's appearance of a villain in power is really dazzling. Wen Qiao wore a black swan gauze skirt, which complemented her exquisite figure and delicate face, and Fu Xiao, who was beside her, was also tall and handsome. A few guests came forward with tall wine glasses and relieved the tense atmosphere. Mr. Wen, who are these? Wen Jianmin said quickly, it's the young master of Zhonghuan Group, Fu Nanli. Almost everyone present was shocked. It was almost impossible for people in their circle to move up to the top of the pyramid and integrate into the rich circle at the top of the pyramid. And the eldest young master of the Fu family on the spire actually came to their social circle. It's unbelievable. Sulu just watched the so-called wealthy businessmen and ladies of the upper class who were originally polite and courteous, rushing to shake hands with Fu Nanli for a photo. The most showy one tonight became Wen Qiao. Those ladies looked at her with envy. And she was completely reduced to a background board, and no one was interested. What irritated her the most was that it was she who proposed to invite Wen Qiao to attend. She was so angry that she clenched her fists and stood in a corner where no one noticed, sulking. Zhao Tong was delayed because of something, and came the latest. When he arrived in a hurry, he was startled when he saw Fu Nanli and Wen Qiao, and pulled Sulu to the corner of the side hall. What's the matter? Why are they here? Sulu's eyes were flushed. I really don't know why Wen Qiao hates me so much, and she doesn't like me so much. It was obviously my celebration party, but she brought Fu Nanli to steal my limelight. Speaking of the back, she burst into tears. Zhao Tong gritted his teeth. She's so cheap. Uncle Wen treats you well, it's not your fault. Why does she always target you, take revenge on you? You wait, one day, Master Fu will see her true face. This kind of little man, you won't be able to jump around for long. Through the frosted hand-pulling door, Wen Qiao leaned against Fu Nanli's arms in the main hall with a dazzling smile. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 272. Does it really last long? She was at a loss. Wen Qiao only stayed here for 20 minutes. In fact, everyone wanted to take a photo with Fu Nanli. Fu Nanli was like a wax figure in the wax museum, and his face was getting darker and darker. Wen Qiao squeezed his hand. Let's go. She is not someone who likes to be a venture capitalist. It is enough to see Sulu hitting eggplants with a frosty face. Fu Nan bowed his head. Let's go. Wen Qiao didn't bother to say hello to Wen Jianmin, and went out with Fu Nanli, Lu Yuya followed. When Wen Jianmin saw that Fu Xiao was leaving, he immediately put down the goblet in his hand, and trotted over, with flattery in his eyes. Is Fu Xiao leaving now? Yes, the words were succinct, without any superfluous words. I will send you. Wen Jiao shook his head slightly. A group of people followed, and when they arrived at the gate, they all gathered around Fu Nanli's car, lining up as if the boss was on a tour. The scene was quite spectacular. Wen Jianmin even opened the car door for Fu Nanli himself. Chiao, bring Fu Xiao to the house more often in the future. So many wealthy businessmen have seen Fu Xiao come to his house in person. In the future, these people will inevitably rush to curry favor with him. Of course, he will have a good relationship with this girl. Wen Qiao naturally saw through his intentions, and was about to speak, but Fu Nanli took a step ahead and said, "No, tonight I just want to see what the father who abandoned Qiao looks like. Since Mr. Wen has abandoned her, then in the future don't communicate anymore." It was a bit too whimsical for him to want to use the fame of the Fu family to expand his career. The expressions on the faces of the guests were wonderful. Wen Jianmin couldn't hold his face, but he dared not speak out. He watched the eldest young master of the Fu family get into the car with his daughter in his arms, and the whole group respectfully watched the car drive into the night. Seeing the car leaving, Wen Jianmin hurriedly honored himself. "Jojo is my daughter, and there were some misunderstandings between me and her mother before, but this flesh and blood relationship cannot be given up. You say yes, no?" Those wealthy businessmen weighed the trade-offs in their hearts, and did not express their position for a while. Wen Jianmin is not in a hurry. As long as he has a good relationship with Wen Qiao, the Wen family's status in Haikan will definitely rise. At that time, he will really be able to reach the top of the upper-class society. The night was thick, and the sky was like a dark curtain hung with a few cold stars. There was no air circulation in the villa, there were many people, and the smell of perfume was always in the nose. Wen Qiao felt a little bloated after staying for 20 minutes. "When I came here before, I was chased away by their family every time. Tonight." Wen Qiao lowered her head, so ironic that she wanted to laugh. Fu Nanli clenched her hand. "Do you come here often?" "No, I've only been here a few times, each time because of money. One time my mother got sick, it was the second year of their divorce, I was too young to be able, so I could only come here to ask him for money. It came out, Zhonghui, Sulu's mother, said a lot of ugly things. At that time, their son Wen Xian was just born, it was Wen Xian's full moon banquet, and it was so lively. Zhonghui said that I came to ask for money. Said that I touched their bad luck, and in short, they kicked me out without asking for a penny. Later, it was the money that my neighbor Kai's grandmother gave to my mother for the operation." Every word she said seemed to gouge out a knife in the mouth of a person. Fu Nanli was breathing heavily and couldn't speak. "I came here once in the middle of this year, because my two younger brothers needed treatment for their illnesses. As a father, he should have paid child support, but not only did he not come out, but he also said a lot of ugly things and was chased away by them." Fu Nanli's eyes were silent, and she clenched her hand. "Why didn't you tell me?" Wen Qiao pretended to shrug needlessly. "It's all over. Suffering is always on the lips, it is annoying, she knows, she is used to carrying it alone. Do you need me to do anything?" Wen Qiao shook his head. "No, Wen Jianmin abandoned us when he thought that my brother had lost his face. The best revenge for him is that my brothers and I will become very good people." Her eyes were firm and shining, and the stars hanging in the sky outside the car window were not as dazzling as hers. "It's hard work to bear those difficult years alone. I will pay for the tenderness the world owes you." That night, when Qiao finished washing up, got into his bed, heard the phone vibrate, opened it, and immediately. Heart. Twist. Pain. BC Bank, your account ending in 0805 received a transfer of 5 million.00 yuan. Young master's way of spoiling people, making money. Okay, so much more first. It will continue to be more during the day. You can vote for a monthly ticket, ask for a monthly ticket. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 273. Wen Qiao's hands were shaking, and she couldn't help but shout, "Ah! What should I do?" After finally donating to Hope Primary Schools, he spent more than half of the money he gave, and here he transferred another 5 million to her. The feeling of endless flowers. She is so difficult. She took it lightly, and should not bring up her tragic experience of asking Wen Jianmin for money tonight. It's not that she didn't know his hobby of throwing money. The phone vibrated again. Big brother, not enough money, tell me again. Wen Qiao fell on the bed, roaring, knocking on the door, and her mother's worried voice, "Jojo, what's wrong?" "Mom, I'm fine." "It's okay, what's your name?" "It scares people to death." "My feet, cramps." "Are you all right now?" Okay. As the new year is approaching, various gatherings and activities are frequent. Bei Yanfang in the city center is an old-fashioned restaurant that all the rich and gentlemen like to have dinner at the end of the year. The courtyard is very large, the car passes through the Chinese garden, and the restaurant is brightly lit. Today's game was saved by Ji Xianzheng, that is, when their cousins got together, Fu Nanli took Wen Qiao out of the car. Wen Qiao was wearing a bean paste-colored coat with pure white rabbit fur on the shoulders and collar, which made him look like an ignorant little fairy rabbit. Those who come to Bei Yanfang are either rich or expensive. The waiters choose the best ones, and respectfully lead the two to the private room upstairs. On the second floor of Highland Hall, Ji Xianzheng and Chu Qinju were already seated. Wen Qiao politely greeted the two cousins, who nodded in greeting. The private room is decorated in an elegant style, and a bouquet of winter plums is placed on the table under the crystal chandelier, which is fragrant. The third child's movie will be released on the first day of the new year, Fu Nanli asked while helping Wen Qiao prepare tableware. What subject? Chu Qinju raised her eyebrows. The trailer has been released for 3 rounds, don't you know? Ji Xianzheng chuckled, he doesn't pay attention to the entertainment industry. Chu Qinju, war, evacuation of overseas Chinese. The waiter stood by, and Fu Nanli said softly, a pinch of freshly squeezed orange juice. He asked Wen Qiao, is it all right? Well, yes. Only then did Fu Nanli raise his eyes to look at Chu Qinju, evacuate the overseas Chinese. Wouldn't it be too bloody and heavy to release on the first day of the new year? Chu Qinju, no, now that the audience is younger, they don't have to choose the theme of family fun. As long as the quality of the film is excellent, the box office is guaranteed. Fu Nanli raised his eyebrows, that's good. Several waiters came up with dinner plates and introduced in a soft voice, 16-headed Japanese net abalone, please use it slowly. Ji Xianzheng said, the old lady is in Haikan for Chinese New Year. We are going to Yuan's mansion for New Year's Eve dinner in the 30th year of the year. Will you bring Xiao Wen with you? Fu Nanli's hand holding the knife and fork paused slightly, no. The two on the opposite side raised their eyebrows, and their expressions were a bit intriguing. Ji Xianzheng said, I thought your relationship was very stable. Fu Nanli changed the subject, the year-end financial report is not very good, isn't it? Does passenger flow have a big impact? He didn't want to say, Ji Xianzheng naturally wouldn't keep asking questions, and changed the subject along with him, it's been somewhat affected, Wu Junyuan has been rampant recently. Wu Junyuan, the young owner of China Southern Airlines, the second largest airline in China, has always wanted to pull Dong Chuan down from the top spot. Now that his wish is finally fulfilled, Dong Chuan had an accident, and Nanyun picked up a leak and climbed to the top. Master Wu has been complacent recently, and it is indeed arrogant. They talked about work, and Wen Qiao was listening, silently learning a lot of financial knowledge. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 274. The waiter opened a bottle of red wine. Ji Xianzheng said, Louis XIII brought by a friend from abroad has been stored in the cellar for some years. It is said that it tastes very good. I also pour a cup for Xiaoan. She can't drink red wine, she'll get drunk. Let her have a taste. Wen Qiao stared at his wine glass and pursed her lips. Fu Nanli picked up the wine glass and put one hand on the back of her neck, just one sip, eh. Wen Qiao took his cup, took a sip, the mouth was sweet, the wine smelled with the aroma of the wood barrels in the cellar, and the sweetness was a little pungent in the throat, but it would be sweet after a while, and the taste was very rich. She wanted to come again. One sip, the wine glass was taken away by him, only one sip. Wen Qiao, okay. Just this sip. She was a little hot from the drink, and until the end of the dinner, her cheeks were flushed, but she was not drunk, but she felt a little hot. Fu Nanli carried the two men's coats in one hand and walked out with the other. As soon as the four of them left the private room, Wen Qiao heard a teasing voice, "Ah, isn't this the young director of the famous Dongchuan Airlines, Mr. G?" Looking up, a medium-sized, oily and pink-faced man in an indigo velvet suit was standing in front of them, followed by a few young people who looked like the second generation of wealthy families. Originally they were quite rampant, but when I saw a few of them, I restrained a little. The Fu family, the Ji family, and the Chu family are all wealthy families, and they cannot easily be offended. Ji Xianzheng smiled coldly and did not answer him. Wu Junyuan stepped forward with a schadenfreude expression, but patted Ji Xianzheng on the shoulder pretending to be considerate. In a business, ups and downs are a common thing, and Ji Xiao doesn't need to be too concerned. Ji Xianzheng gently flicked the hand on his shoulder, trouble you worry. No desire to talk. Wu Junyuan said with a smile, at the year-end meeting of the Aviation Association tomorrow night, I am afraid that the incident with Ji Xiao and you in Dongchuan will be brought out as a typical criticism again. The smile in Ji Xianzhen's eyes was mixed with a sinister light. If there is a mistake, I will correct it. I humbly accept the guild's criticism. Wu Junyuan laughed proudly. Ji Xiao doesn't need to be so arrogant and laugh. We are all traveling together. I know you have a lot of resentment in your heart, it's just that you don't know who you are, and let your captain Luo be promoted to captain, just ascended. It's just causing trouble for you, right? You'll have to keep your eyes open in the future. Ji Xianzheng smiled, then I hope Wu Xiaodong's Nanyun Airlines can be peaceful all the way. Ah no, you have been the second child for 10,000 years, and now you are in the first seat. I am afraid you are not used to it. Wu Junyuan's face suddenly collapsed. Just now, he had an expression of teasing others with ease, but now he gritted his teeth. I'm very used to it, and I have to stay in the first place all the time. Ji Xianzheng patted him on the shoulder, then you have to work hard to keep it. Completely anti-customer oriented, control the situation. In this kind of drama where the two sides meet on a narrow road, whoever gets in a hurry first will lose. The big guys have always been light-hearted. Who can stay peaceful all the time? After Ji Xianzheng finished speaking, he walked forward indifferently, and Fu Nanli followed Wen Qiao and Chu Qinju in his arms. Wu Junyuan had 10,000 swear words stuck in his throat. When he saw Fu Nanli and Chu Qinju, he didn't dare to make trouble. He could only endure it until they disappeared at the end of the corridor. A foul language He. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 275. After leaving the hotel, Fu Nanli looked at Ji Xianzheng. It's just a villain, you don't have to worry about it. Ji Xianzhen's eyes surging, the most difficult thing is the villain. This Wu Junyuan does everything by any means. I want to guard against him. The next day, Wen Qiao and the others went to Yushu's black color after class. Yushu personally mixed drinks in front of the bar. Sisters, I'll make a cocktail for each of you. Wen Qiao took out a box of Wangzi and said, Sister, I don't drink. Lu Yuyu hooked her neck and looked at Yushu with a smile. Her husband is very strict. Wen Qiao pinched her waist and squinted at her. Lu Yuyu smiled and said, Boyfriend, sooner or later, it's her husband's. It doesn't matter if you call in advance. Yushu raised his eyebrows, so cowardly. What age is it? Women have to live for themselves, and they can't obey men. Lu Yuyu, she's a very powerful man. Sister Yu, stop talking. In the corridor behind the bar, Wen Qiao saw a girl passing by, vaguely feeling a little familiar. She took out her mobile phone and checked. It was the internet celebrity who took photos in Luo Hui's cockpit, which was the cause of Dongchuan Airlines. Relegated to the second culprit. Oh. Is she still in the mood to come to the nightclub? Wen Qiao whispered, I'll go to the bathroom. After he finished speaking, he held a box of Wangzi and followed the internet celebrity to the second floor. The narrow corridors are full of men and women who are kissing like no one else, smoking, and wriggling to music, all dressed in trendy fashion. Occasionally, a boy who was drunk to death wanted to reach out and flirt with Wen Qiao, but his sober companions would hold his hand. Don't court death, ladies. Last night when I went back to school, I beat a dozen people who wanted to tease her all the way. Drunk man, great skill. Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows and walked to the second floor. The internet celebrity entered a private room, and Wen Qiao threw the drunk Wang Zhe into the trash can beside him. He took the cap of a drunk girl in the aisle and put it on his head with his hair loose, covering most of his face. At the entrance of the private room in the aisle, through the small glass window, I saw at least a dozen girls inside, singing. Wen Qiao pushed open the door and walked in directly. The lights were dim, and no one noticed her. She took advantage of the situation to sit beside the internet celebrity, pressed the brim of her hat, and casually picked up the drink on the table and pretended to drink it. The private room was noisy, and the internet celebrity friends chatted with her. Sister, you are so terrible that you brought down the leader of the aviation industry. From Wen Qiao's point of view, you can see the smug expression on the internet celebrity. If I told you that this was planned by me, would you believe it? Wen Qiao suddenly tightened the cup in his hand and listened. Ah! You, how dare you fight against the Ji family? The internet celebrity shrugged. Of course someone told me to do it. Netizens will scold you to death. If they scold me, I will scold me, and I won't lose a piece of meat. Then how are you and your captain? Are you still married? The internet celebrity pouted. He hated me so much that he broke up with me after the accident, but now that I am rich, am I worried that I can't find a better man? Who made you do this? The internet celebrity was a little wary. It's inconvenient to tell you this. Don't tell me about these things. I'm very strict. A cold light flashed in Wen Qiao's eyes. He thought the internet celebrity was stupid, but he didn't expect it to be a well-designed scam. Wen Qiao took the wine glass and walked out without a trace. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 276. Only then did the internet celebrity notice her and said to her little sister, who is she? I don't know, Alice's friend. Wen Qiao successfully escaped from the private room, went downstairs in a hurry, and sent a message to FemaleProtagonist, let the internet celebrity into the cockpit. Someone instructed the internet celebrity to do it. You can ask your brother to check. The most suspect, of course, is Wu Junyuan and Wu Xiaodong, the second tens of thousands of years old of Nanyuan Airlines. How did you know, Wen Qiao? Have you done something dangerous again? Can one day let him not worry about it? The video call came, but Wen Qiao answered it magnanimously. What caught Funanli's eyes was the feasting and the smoky atmosphere, obviously in a nightclub. Wen Qiao, where are you? He seldom called her by name and surname. Usually at this time, there was a hint of displeasure. Wen Qiao answered truthfully, nightclub. Funanli pressed his eyebrows, I'll pick you up and send me the address. Okay. Yushu raised his eyebrows, it's really strict. Lu Yu's eyes suggested that the sister should shut up. After a while, Funanli's car came. Wen Qiao got in the car, saw Funanli looking outside the nightclub, and said earnestly, it's a nightclub run by a member of our club, she's covering me up, it won't be a problem. Of hood, this word has the atmosphere of a social sister. The eldest young master of the upper class obviously has not had much exposure to this cultural atmosphere. It's okay to come to this kind of place, but don't do anything dangerous. Wen Qiao, I just saw the internet celebrity, followed her into a private room, and came out soon after hearing a few words from her. What are you going to do if she finds out about you? She didn't find out. Besides, even if she finds out, the dozen or so girls in the audience are not her opponents. She has absolutely no need to worry. Funanli found that she couldn't understand, and reached out and rubbed her head. If you encounter this kind of thing in the future, call me in advance and don't take any risk yourself, do you understand? Wen Qiao nodded, well, I see. I told Xianzheng about this, he will check it himself later, don't interfere. Well, I know, could it be Wu Junyuan? He is the most suspect. It should be him, Xianzheng will deal with him. Wen Qiao looked well behaved. Funanli stretched out her fingers, pinched her chin and made her face him, have you been drinking? No. Funanli came over, kissed her lips, and finally licked the corner of her mouth, well, I didn't drink. Winzhou's brain was a little deprived of oxygen. Don't drink outside, you get drunk easily, you know. Wen Qiao touched his neck, I can do liquor. Not even liquor. Wen Qiao pouted and said nothing. Joel. If you hear something about me later, don't believe it, you know? Like a plane crash or something like that, it's not going to happen to me, you know? Wen Qiao was a little puzzled, what does this unreasonable remark mean, but he still nodded, I believe in your strength. Funanli touched her face. He was already making arrangements. He had to calm Wen Qiao's emotions in advance so that she would not panic. The loss of debt caused heavy losses to the He family and Fu Jiang's family. Fu Jiang lowered his brows and pleaded with his eyes, groveling and wanting Funanli to pull their family. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 277. He is a straightforward person, and he has no plans. He just wants to bring down Funanli. The old man has no successor, so naturally he will be chosen as his successor. This time, he orchestrated an aviation accident. He paid a lot of money for an aircraft mechanic to replace a screw on the wrong landing gear. Just such a small screw will cause the landing gear to fail to function properly when the aircraft is landing. When the plane is taking off and landing, it is the accident-prone stage, and it is the most prone to accidents. Everything was going well, and it was so smooth that he was a little overwhelmed. Funanli also loves the aviation business anyway and is not interested in shopping malls, so don't forcefully occupy a seat that does not belong to him. It was a sunny day, Su Yun washed the sheets and covers, The three siblings helped her dry the sheets in the yard, and Uncle G was cooking in the kitchen. Uncle G has a good and gentle personality, and his cooking skills are first class. He used to be the head chef in a Chinese restaurant. The yard was filled with the aroma of sweet and sour pork ribs, and Wen Qiao's stomach rumbled. Lu Yuyu suddenly ran over, took Wen Qiao's hand into the room, and said solemnly, "Something happened." Wen Qiao put down his sleeves. "What's the matter?" Lu Yuyu's hands trembled a little. "There is news on the internet that when a plane landed, the landing gear couldn't be lowered, and it hit an Airbus parked on the tarmac." Wen Qiao's heart sank suddenly, and her voice changed. "Is there any airline or flight in the news?" Lu Yuyu shook her head. "I didn't say it, but I'm worried it might be Master Fu." "Do you know his schedule? Did he fly today?" "Yes, he came back from Helsinki today." "Do you know what time you will arrive at Dongpu Airport?" "About 8 in the morning." Lu Yuyu's face was even more ugly. "The news comes out at 8:15. Wen Qiao's legs were a little weak. "Did the news mention how the captain is?" "I heard that the passengers were injured, but the captain in the cockpit, listen, I heard that they were killed." "Which media reported it?" "What official media?" Lu Yuyu put her phone close to her and showed her. "No, it's a self-media with more than 1 million fans." Wen Qiao frowned. "Why didn't the official media report such a big event?" "Maybe the official media is a little more cautious, but let's check it out." Wen Qiao quickly took out her mobile phone and called Fu Nanli. It showed that it was off. She anxiously called Su Shen again, which was also off. She ran out immediately. Lu Yuyu followed her. The two took a taxi and went straight to Dongchuan Airlines. Caring is messed up, and when the incident happened suddenly, she completely forgot about Fu Nanli's entrustment to her. She was calling Fu Nanli all the way, but no one answered. At Fu Jiang's house, the driver Lu Dong called him. Young master's girlfriend has gone crazy and rushed to the airport. Fu Jiang smiled proudly. "Drive me to Tangshan. The villa of Fu Nanli's family is in Tangshan." Fu Jiang hurried away. The car parked at the door of the villa, brewed his emotions, got out of the car, went straight to the living room, saw Fu Huayong, and said sadly, "Grandpa, you have to mourn." Fu Huayong looked at him coldly and did not speak. Fu Jiang sat next to him. "I've heard all about it, brother. He suffered a misfortune and died in an air crash." "Who did you listen to?" Fu Huayong asked back. "Haven't you heard of it yet?" "The media has reported it." Fu Jiang's face was full of sadness. "Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 278. Fu Huayong's eyes were eagle-eyed, and Fu Jiang's heart sank. Did something go wrong? His grandfather's look was not quite right. The media only said it was a plane, and didn't name the airline or the captain. "You can't wait to come to my house to cry and mourning. You're looking forward to Nanli's death, right?" Fu Jiang hurriedly said, "Grandpa, why am I expecting my brother to die? I just received news that it was a plane flying back from Helsinki." "Where did the news come from?" Fu Jiang has no words. My friend." "Your friend? Do you mean the friend who replaced the number 1 screw on the plane's landing gear with the number 2 screw?" Fu Jiang's face instantly turned pale. "Because he asked the aircraft maintenance engineer that Lu Dong bought to walk out of the side hall." His head was in chaos. Why was the maintenance engineer here? Fu Huayong said coldly, "The self-media didn't name Nanli's plane crash, but you came to the door to mourn right away. That's because you did this thing." Fu Jiang was horrified. "Grandpa, I didn't. How could I? How dare I? Why don't you dare? You have already planned a car accident, and now you are more courageous. You dare to plan an air accident. For the sake of profit, you are already insane." Fu Jiang shuddered uncontrollably. With hindsight, he realized that it seemed that it was a trap from the beginning, and that he fell into the scheme of others. You didn't. Suddenly, Fu Zhang saw Fu Nanli walking downstairs. What is the loss of life in the air accident? He is obviously good, it is a game, and it is a game designed to lure him into the bait. Knowing that he wants to hurt Fu Nanli, he will do it and lead him into the urn, but he actually got into it so stupidly. Fu Nanli said coldly, "Fu Chuan, show him the evidence." The aircraft maintenance engineer followed Fu Nanli and Fu Chuan to Fu Zhang. Fu Zhang was so sullen, his legs and feet became weak. The aircraft maintenance engineer took out his mobile phone, which contained several recorded phone calls. Fu Jiang's face was already pale. Lu Dong said that this aircraft maintenance engineer is absolutely reliable, he is Lu Dong's friend, and he owes a debt, so they can be completely assured by using him to do such an important thing. After the incident, it was the same maintenance engineer who told them that the plane really had an accident, and asked them to arrange for him to escape to a country where extradition regulations could not be used. All of these are evidenced by audio recordings and chat pages. Since all of them were contacted by Lu Dong and this maintenance engineer, the evidence is clear at a glance. Fu Jiang's legs softened and he fell down on the sofa, unable to get up. Fu Nanli had long known that he had a different heart. Fu Chuan again brought out the evidence that the first Fu Nanli car accident was his instigation, and so far he beat Fu Zhang to death at the bottom of the pit. Fu Jiang's face was ashen as he stared blankly at Fu Nanli. Since when did he reveal his secrets? They started to design such a big play, just to let him drill into it? Fu Huayong gritted his teeth and said, "I didn't expect that. I am troubled by raising tigers. With so many nephews in the Fu family, I have always treated your family the best. The Zhongheng of your family was brought up by me and let you live Ren Shangren's life, but you care about my grandson's position, you wolf son's ambition. Fu Zhang is a scumbag who is strong on the outside and hard at work. No matter how arrogant he is outside, no matter how he doesn't like Fu Nanli, when he is in front of him, how to be cowardly and how to be cowardly." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 279. Grandpa, I was obsessed for a while, I didn't want to do anything, Fu Huayong, what if I didn't want it? If Nan Li hadn't been prepared, he would have been killed by you long ago. What if you said you didn't want anything, Uncle Li, let someone come in. As soon as he finished speaking, Fu Zhang saw several uniformed police officers walking towards him. He panicked, "Grandpa, it's all the Fu family's family affairs. Isn't it a joke for others to see? You just punish me, it's all my fault, you let others see jokes? You are committing a crime now, or a capital crime. I am not qualified to punish you. Let the law punish you." Two policemen, one on each side, held him. Fu Zhang never imagined that he had fallen into the trap by himself. He wanted to gloat over the misfortune. Fu Nanli was finally killed by him. It's himself. Fu Zhang was directly detained by the police and left. Fu Nanli's face was gloomy, Fu Huayong sighed deeply and was speechless for a while. Indeed, as Fu Zhang said, the family affairs of the Fu family will definitely be spread out this time, and it will inevitably be discussed with judgment. The Fu family is unfortunate in the family. He reached out and patted Fu Nanli's shoulder. "When did you know that Fu Zhang was planning this accident?" "My people have been staring at Fu Zhang and his driver. From the first contact with Dongchuan's maintenance engineer, I knew what he was going to do. I didn't break him down, just for the sake of thinking. So that news. Fu Chuan found a reliable news from the media, and will clarify it later, saying it is fake news. Fu Huayong sighed, the family is unfortunate, Nan Li, you must bring bodyguards when you travel in the future. Be careful with everything, you know. Fu Nan bowed his head, I know. Fu Chuan handed him his mobile phone, you can turn it on now. After all, the murderer has subverted the law, and there is no need to act and disguise anymore. Fu Huayong said, I will say hello to the judicial side, and let them try this matter in secret, so as not to let outsiders see the Fu family's jokes. Fu Nanli turned on the phone and saw the overwhelming number of missed calls, all from Wen Qiao. He immediately went outside, his grandfather's voice came from behind him, where are you going? Fu Nanli left a sentence, there are still important things to deal with. He got into the car in a hurry, dialed Wen Qiao's phone and went out, but it showed that it was turned off. Because Wen Qiao kept calling him, and when the phone ran out of power, it would automatically shut down. She rushed to Dongchuan Airlines in a hurry and saw that it was calm inside, because they had already received the news that the culprit had been arrested, and there was no need to act. Wen Qiao used to take Fu Nanli's car to go in directly, but now he was stopped at the gate. Wen Qiao said anxiously, I'm your Captain Fu's girlfriend. I read on the internet that there was an air crash at the airport and two planes collided. Is there such a thing? I'm sorry, it's not clear at the moment, it's not convenient to disclose it to the outside world, please wait outside. I'm Captain Fu's girlfriend, you let me in, I'm looking for him. The guard was unmoved, you said that you are Captain Fu's girlfriend, and we don't know each other, little girl, don't make it difficult for us, okay. Wen Qiao couldn't care less, and rushed inside. The two security guards quickly reached out to catch her, but she ran fast and flew into Dongchuan's office building. Lu Yuya followed closely. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 280. She just went all the way to the door of Ji Xianzhen's office on the 7th floor, and the security guards on the walkie-talkie could be heard mobilizing personnel from behind. There are dangerous elements breaking into Xiaji's general office, and send some more people here. Wen Qiao pushed away Ji Xianzhen's office, and inside it was Dongchuan's high-level meeting. Those high-level executives watched in amazement as a very beautiful little girl approached their president Ji aggressively, only to find that her eyes seemed terrified when they got closer. How is he? Ji Xianzheng said quickly, come with me. Wen Qiao was called aside by him, didn't Nan Li tell you? Wen Qiao was stunned for a moment, what? He's fine. She was a little stunned, but I saw on the news that when the plane landed, the landing gear failed and hit the Airbus on the tarmac. Captain. Ji Xianzheng was in a bit of trouble, but Nan Li didn't tell the little girl in advance, so she was so frightened. That's fake. Wen Qiao couldn't come back to her senses, fake. Well, I still have to wait for Nan Li to tell you about these things. I'll call him and wait for him at his place. Is he still alive? Live well, don't worry. For the rest of his life after the catastrophe, a false alarm, Wen Qiao stretched out his hand to support the table beside him, and heaved a sigh of relief. Go quickly. Wen Qiao held her breath and ran out again. Ji Xianzheng called Fu Nanli, the little boy went to your apartment to find you, come over quickly. Understood, did she find you? Yes, it looks like the sky is collapsing, and the eyes are red, thinking that something has happened to you. Is she worried? Fu Nanli's voice was a little uncertain. Ji Xianzheng felt a little strange, naturally, she is your girlfriend, isn't it right that she is worried about you? It's you, why didn't you tell her in advance that it's not your style to frighten her like this? Don't you like that girl very much? I told her, forget it, I won't tell you more. When Wen Qiao arrived at his apartment, it was noon. Although it was winter, the sun was shining brightly outside the window at the entrance of the corridor. Wen Qiao had an unreal feeling of dizziness, although Ji Xianzheng told her that Fu Nanli was not dead. But her heart was still in her throat, and all the worries, fears, and unease filled her mind. With the ding of the elevator, the door opened, and he saw his tall figure coming out of it, and he really saw his face, when he was standing in front of her. A heart just settled down. She rushed up and hugged him. Fu Nanli was so moved that he hugged her. Wen Qiao's body trembled slightly. I thought something had happened to you. He gently stroked her soft hair. I'm fine. The news said the plane crashed, the captain died, and your plane came back from Helsinki at that point. I called you, but your phone was turned off. I made a lot of calls, but you didn't answer. Fu Nanli's heart was aching, because I want Fu Zhang to think that something happened to me, so I did it more realistically. I'm fine. He held her in his arms and comforted her softly. It was quiet in the corridor, and the warm winter sun shone down from the window and shone on her hair. The brown and chestnut hair was fluffy, warm and lovely.